Hey guys, welcome. I think I'm back. How is everyone doing? Hey Silas. All right, so we have Nikki, Laura, T, Aeon, Kingdom Boy, and Silas in the building. How is everyone doing tonight? Hopefully, I don't have any more issues with my internet. But how is everyone doing? You all know I just normally went live on a Saturday, and today I went live twice. This is second live today. So we up in the building. We up in the building. We're just gonna wait until a few more people come in, and then we're gonna jump into the topic. But this topic tonight is a very interesting one. I wanted to do this topic since last week, but you know, I kind of had something else to talk about because that topic was chosen by the Creative Creole. So yeah, as you see from the title, is who deserves more time, your child or you? Hey, Christine, Chrissy, what's going on? So, that's always a popular topic of conversation. Quite often, you'll see people have issues based on, sometimes someone have a newborn child or a young child, and then the child starts to get so much affection, and then the other partner becomes jealous. Now, it's like, do you think people should be jealous of their kids spending quality time with the other partner, and all those stuff? So we're going to talk about, hey, Mama TTV, hey, InQ's World, how is everyone doing tonight? If you're just coming in and you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, please hit the thumbs up button for me. But yeah, this topic is going to get very, very interesting. I would love to hear you all point of view and a lot on this topic. Now, I feel that because it's like when you had before you had a child, you guys used to spend all the quality time together without the child, and then now the child comes in, and then the child kind of take over. So in a little way, I don't think it's selfish of the other parent to feel a little type of way, but at the same time, how can you be upset for your child spending quality time with the other partner? All right, so Aeon, Eat, Cook, and Live It Up said, all depends. Aeon says, me, I don't have children, don't need any, don't want any. I'll take the attention, take all the attention I'm given as long as it's possible. Eat Cook says, and it comes down to understanding. Hey, Eating with Kate Cotton, what's going on? I hope everyone is having a wonderful Saturday night. Shout out to all the people who were in the live earlier. We're going to be doing 2 hours tonight as usual, and then we're going to head over to Jill's Comfort Zone. I'm not sure what Jill will be doing tonight. Most times she play games, then she have a panel. Hey, do tell, how are you doing tonight? So, yeah, this is going to be a tough one because, we're trying to figure out, hey, Jilly, we know we're coming over to you for an hour or two. What are you doing tonight? Are you going to do game night or are we going to have a panel? So, yeah. The question is, who deserves more time? You or your partner? Do you get jealous when your partner spend more time with the kids versus you? No, she ain't doing 5 hours. Jill got work to do and tired. Hey, Foodie Duo, how are you doing tonight? All right, so Nikki says, just because you are a parent, make time for yourselves and don't lose your identity. Now, I feel you on that, Nikki. I feel you on that. But sometimes, you know, it's just like a new relationship. People get head over heels when it's a new relationship. So I feel like it's the same thing with like a newborn child. Like, when the child start growing and all of those stuff, I don't think it will be the same where this person gonna spend more time with the child versus their partner. But I feel like when you have a brand new baby, especially when that child is maybe the first child, you start getting all crazy and be like, oh my God. So I feel you. Laura says, as a mother of 3 teenagers, I found that it is important to divide your time. Time with the kids during the day and time with your partner at night. And that sounds like a good balance to me, Laura. Eat, cook, and live it up. Why you laughing? Why you laughing, huh? So yeah, what's you guys' thought? What's your thought? Hey, Mama Dell, how are you doing tonight? I'm gonna drop the link just in case anyone wants to come up. And have you ever had any experience with that? Because I ain't got no kids. I ain't got no kids. So if you ever struggle with that, you don't have to come up here and be like, hey, this is my life story. But you can also come and just be like, yeah, blah, blah, yeah. All right, so Aeon says, me, I don't have a man, don't want one, don't need one. You know what, Aeon, I'm done. Shout out to the 13 people in the chat. Hi, Karizak, Simple TV, welcome, welcome. I hope you said your name right. Welcome to the stream. Is this your first time here? All right, Aeon says, me, I don't have a man, don't want one, don't need one. I am a loner for a reason because I need to protect my collection of movie cookies. You know what, Aeon? Aeon, I'm done with you tonight. She'll be in another cut-up session. So welcome to everyone tonight. And as you see from the topic, or it's your first time, welcome Karizak TV. We have some amazing people in here. We're discussing the topic of who do you think deserve more time, your partner or your child? And do you think spending more time with your child versus your partner create a difficult space in the relationship? All right, so Nikki says, I used to give my small children assignment schedules so I could catch a break. No, that's you see, that's what I'm talking about. When you come over here and we have these topics, a lot of people share different things that can all help us in our personal lives or anything like that. That's a really good one, Nikki. InQ's world say I had to recognize signs from hubby when he needs more time. No, that's another thing that's very important for you to recognize, signs that person need more time. You can't be, you know, um, what would you say, turn a blind eye towards those things. And InQ's world also says you have to learn to balance, and that's facts. Aeon says, I'm the original Cookie Monster. Hey, Miss Daylight Clay, how are you doing? Welcome, 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 everyone. Thank you all for being here. If you see in the title, the topic is, who do you think deserve more time, your child or your partner? And I feel like, as Nikki and InQ's World says, you got to find a balance. But typically when people have probably a first child or they have young kids, it becomes a situation where the child becomes the center of attraction, and then everything else kind of fall at the wayside. So do you think it is a good thing or a bad thing for a parent to be jealous of their child getting quality time with the other partner? So, let's say you have a new child and the focus was on you prior to that, but then the focus kind of shifted to the child. Do you think it's okay for you to be a little bit jealous about it? Or do you think it's okay and you should just, allow that quality time for them to bond? All right, so Jill says it depends on the age of the child. And that's true, Jill. Hey, Coach Sherry, how are you doing tonight? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I totally agree to Jill. It's all about the age. Um, but we're talking about mostly like a young child. Because obviously, when kids become teenagers and stuff like that, they kind of grow out of their parents' sight and all of those stuff. I mean, not every child, but for the most part. So I know it can definitely pose a lot of distractions when there's a new child coming to a relationship that was already, like a lot of times people say they don't want kids because they don't want to adjust their schedules of staying home because they like to travel and all of those things. So yeah. And K Cotton said it depends on the child needs to. So yeah, that is very important. Hey Nick and Nadine, how are you doing tonight? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Coach Sherry said it depends on the amount of time. Now, Coach Sherry, that's very interesting because do you think that the partner can spend too much time with a child? Because quite often you hear people say they want the partner to be very active in their child's life. They want them to be engaged in their child's life. So you're saying they can spend enough time as long as it's not taking away time from your time. Aeon, I'm done with you. Cooking Inamo, welcome, welcome. Or Ina, I hope I said that right. Sorry if I butchered your name. I'm so sorry. But welcome everyone in the stream. Hey Tanira, welcome, welcome, welcome. For everyone who is just coming in, the topic is who do you think deserve more time? The partner or your child? Hey Ashley, how are you doing? So Jill says, I'm not talking about grown children. Teenagers need attention as well. But teenagers do need attention as there is like people to sit down and talk to them and listen to them and all those stuff. But I'm talking about more like, that nurturing stage when a child is brand new. And we're talking about like, the focus is on that child. Like that partner always want to have the child in their hand, always want to be like, what do you need? They prefer to spend time with the child versus you. That's what I'm saying. Welcome, Dr. Discord, and welcome Kinky Locks Trey. Dr. Discord said, I think that the child always needs more, but there's a balance. And then also he said, yeah, I know a lot of people miss the diner. A lot of people do miss the diner. A lot of people on here who don't know about the restaurant heard about it, and All right, Jill says that's why some of these teenagers are running the streets looking for love and getting into trouble. That's true, Jill, but I feel like you have a teenager versus a toddler. I don't feel like a teenager and a toddler requires the same amount or level of attention. It kind of, stray off a little bit. Like probably, you know, let's say you have your partner and you guys just had a brand new child from the ages of newborn to like 6 or 7, and they go to work, they get off work, the first person that they see is the child, and they spend all the time with the child until the child goes to sleep, and then you probably don't get no attention at all or very limited. Are you jealous of your child because they're now bringing the attention to the child versus you, because you're so accustomed to getting all the attention? So it's more about the toddler and they getting more attention than you getting. Do you get jealous of your child? All right, so Ash says, I feel like your kids deserve more attention. Your time with your babies is essential to their upbringing. And that's facts, and I feel like that's why a lot of people struggle with those things, because they were so accustomed to getting all the attention. And then once that child comes in the play, then they kind of get less attention. And a lot of people are resentful to their child because now they're thinking the child is the reason why they're getting less attention. But I always say this, I'm like, people know what they were getting themselves into before they get a child. A lot of people say it's not planned or anything, but you know what you're doing. If you ain't on certain things in order to prevent you from getting pregnant and all those things, then you know what's going to happen. Then there's a possibility. But I feel like once a child comes in, some parents resent the child based on that they're getting more attention than them. So I feel you on that, Ash, and I think that's a very valid point. Coach Sherry says, I think spending time is necessary, but the kids need to learn how to be self-sufficient in case the parents aren't there always. And that is so true. Hey, Maria. Miss Daylight Clay said, my adult children told me they were in high school. They were hurt. They mentioned I gave my husband more time than them. It hurt me. I could not see from their eyes. Well, I kind of have a I feel you on that as a parent because I'm not a parent, so I don't know how to feel in those situations when your kids tell you that. But at the same time, I feel like when a child becomes teenager into adulthood, then your focus should more be on your partner, of course. Of course, they need their time and their attention. But they're also at a level of their age where they're going to start be able to go out on their own, and they're going to start to get into their own relationships that they're going to garner a lot of time too. And they're going to forget about you. So I feel like as a parent with children who are at teenage level growing into adulthood, they got to learn how to be less dependent on you and be appreciative of you spending time with your partner. Jill says, oh, of course not. A toddler needs more attention. And Coach Sherry says, but they're only kids for a short period of time, so we definitely together gave the same type of attention. My 3 kids are exactly 20 months apart. Yeah. And Jill said, once you have a child, there's no such thing as them getting more time, as they're getting more time for yourself. True that. Yeah, we miss you too, Ash, but I know you busy and all those stuff. Coach Cherry said, but you have to let them know when it's parent time. I've had to tell my kids that a couple of times early on, because before you look up like we are, they will be leaving the nest and time is gone. And that's true, Coach Sherry. Nick and Nadine said, yes, that is what I was going to say. People should be well aware of the time and attention that children require for at least 18 years and more likely a few years beyond that. And then Nikki says, some people need to learn that nap time isn't a choice. And that is so true. You touch on a very good point. Hey, Chalina Sanchez, how are you doing tonight? But yeah, I feel what everybody is saying. Coach Sherry says you can't wrap your world around your kids either, because I have many friends married 20, 30 years and get divorced because when their kids leave, they don't know each. That's exactly what I'm saying, Coach Sherry. And you touch a very valid point. I feel like, as toddlers going into early adolescence, I feel like child requires a lot of attention and everything like that. But once a child becomes teenager into adulthood, of course, you're going to have open discussion about certain things that are going to be life lessons and valuable in them moving forward into their adulthood and how to navigate through those things. But, when they reach that age, you got to be more focused on the relationship that you have with your partner, because now you're building up something that when the child is gone, you're able to, even make that even much better. So I do agree with you on that. Hey, Sister Fifi, welcome, welcome, welcome. And Dr. Discord said, I do my best to give my stepkid. She's for attention, but when she acts out, I have no problem sending her to her room. And that's what we're talking about too. You got to find a perfect balance to all of those things, because if you kind of shelter your child into thinking that mom and dad is going to be here to give you all this attention that you need. I feel like you going into adulthood, you're not even going to learn how to navigate like certain basic life skills, because now you're going to move into the world thinking, okay, if I have a disagreement with their partner or something like that, then they're going to need mom or dad to really back them up. They're going to be focusing on mom and dad to help them fix every situation. So yeah, I feel all of these conversation. I'm going to drop the link again for anybody who wants to come up. But the next part that we want to kind of discuss a little bit more detail. Do you think it is a bad thing? Thank you, Sister Fifi. Do you think it's, hey Tommy Bites, how are you doing tonight? Do you think it's a bad thing when the other parents probably bring the situation up and be like, I realize that since we had this child, they're become the focus or the center of attraction. Do you think that's a bad thing? Or do you think it's important for you guys to talk about these changes that you have seen in the relationship? No, I feel like you should bring it up if you're feeling some type of way about it, even though that's your child and there's no such thing as them spending too much time. But I feel like, you know, if you're so accustomed to you guys spending so much time and then that whole all change, then I feel like you definitely should have a discussion about it. Coach Cherry said it's important to talk about changes ASAP. And that's true, because you cannot give too much room into a situation for it to, you know, escalate to something that it shouldn't be. Tommy Bites said communication is always best because you will start holding resentment. And that's true, Tommy Bites. You know, it's like you have a sore and the sore start breaking out, and then you don't do nothing about it. You don't dress that sore. Then what's going to happen? You're going to have a whole breakout on your old skin. It will never get better. So, yeah, I feel that. Miss Daylight Clay says, my daughter tells me about the past and continue to remind me she needed more time. My love, I need you every day of my life, no matter my age, Mom. I was thinking I raised a soldier, and she's that. And, you know, I feel like the conversation is okay to have, to be like, you know what, I needed you in this time. But I also feel like, you know, bring it up every time or trying to let you feel bad about it. Because I feel like parents always parent to the best of their ability. And I don't feel like parents, they have the inner nature in themselves to know that, you know, when I try to raise my child this way, they're trying to do it the best way possible, so that when you get out in the streets, you're well equipped with all the necessary skills and all those stuff that you need. So I've had, you know, I grew up as a child where I didn't require a lot of things from like my mom or my dad or stuff like that. So I feel like I grew up with, we loved each other, but it's not like we grew up talking about, oh, hey, I love you, this and that and that and that and that. I didn't require mom to sit down with me and talk to me every day. I didn't require mom to drop me off to school, or when I come home, we're asking about how is your day or anything like that. I don't feel like it affected me in any way. I try not to bring up the past, but sometimes the past is very important for us to move forward. So I feel like I definitely have balance in that is good. Daylight Clay. Dr. Discord says, absolutely, focus on the kid. I walked into a relationship with a lady who had a kid already, so I had to make it up as I went along. Having no kid myself, you can call me Brett. Okay, Brett. Okay. Yeah, I feel that too. You know, that's another topic of discussion. It's like when you meet someone and they have a child, you got to kind of, it's like you love the parent, you should love the child too. So, you know, a lot of people, they'll walk into situations and they're like, this is not my child. And they love the parent, but they don't love the child. They just do act nice or do the basic necessities. But I feel like once you walk into a relationship with someone who has a child already, you got to kind of take on the whole role of you guys raising them as one and like your own. So, yeah, I feel you on that, Brett. Um, Coach Sherry says, whenever new people, places, or things are introduced in a relationship, expectation, boundaries, etc., need to be discussed and agreed upon. And that's why I always, I mean, everybody here give a great point of view, and I respect all of it. But I feel like because Coach Sherry has a certain background, she always give you the very textbook conversation, but very literal at the same time. So I do appreciate that. Kate Cotton says, I just feel like your children always need more time than we do, because after you have children, it's not always about you anymore. And that is true, Kate. It's not about you anymore, but I feel like, you know, habits are hard to break. So if you were with someone for, let's say, 2-3 years, you guys used to party a lot, you guys used to be able to you guys used to party a lot. You guys used to have date nights and dinners and stuff like that. You guys used to spend quality time, let's say 2-3 hours after, just relax, drink a glass of wine, watch a movie and all those things. And then a child comes into that situation and thank you, Maria. And a child comes into that situation. Well, it's not even a situation, but now you guys introduce a child within that. And all of these things start to change. Then I feel like it's going to affect you in a certain way. But do you think kind of holding a resentment against your child, be like, you know what, if this child wasn't a part of the picture, my life would be the way it was before? Do you think that's a bad thing, or do you think it's okay for them to feel some type of way about it? I think you shouldn't resent your child, but I think you should still. I feel like as human beings, we're gonna feel some type of way about it because it's a change. So yeah. Miss Daylight Clay says, yes, I don't want to continue to feel bad. I did the best I could. No, she's a master sergeant in the Air Force. Now that shows you that you did a very good job, Miss Daylight Clay. And you just got to pat yourself on the back. Of course, when someone or your child especially say something to you that they thought you could have done better, then you can take it with, say, oh yeah, maybe I could have done better. But I feel like, just holding it against yourself and beating up yourself about it is not a good thing. So eating with Kate Cotton, that's a good point. True that. Jill says party time is over. Take Jill, I feel you on that. When you say party time is over, take care of the child. But I mean, you're taking care of your child. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like you have some people who are just kind of smitten by this new child coming into the picture. Maybe first time parents, or probably someone who have dreamed about having a daughter or a son because they have had kids before, never had a daughter or a son. And then the whole attention just changes. Like they don't even act like you're there. And it's like the whole attention now is on that child. I feel like, people, we're all humans. And even though it's your child, you're still going to feel a certain way. You're going to be like, damn, I was the center of attraction. And then a child came in and just took that all away. Jill says you can still enjoy yourself just differently. Jill also say you shouldn't have kids if you feel that way. Hey, Tanner Woodworld, how are you? Welcome. I feel you on that, Jill, to a certain extent. But a lot of times, as we said, get into a situation, if you're not taking precautions, you can get pregnant. But I think a lot of times people are not even necessarily ready for kids, but they still don't take necessary precautions. So I feel you on that. And I feel like once you become a parent and you have a child, then the whole life should revolve around them. But I also feel like as human beings, we're still going to feel a little bit neglected or anything like that. Kate says, I've been with my man for 18 years and we dropped everything for our child. Now that's awesome, Kay. Silas said it is a balance. When you want to have kids, you will have to let some things go, but not everything, and that's true. T says she agreed with Jill. Coach Cherry said, right. When the child comes, it's a lifestyle change. Being ready helps a lot. And then Silas said, you can still party, but not like before. Case says, you with the wrong person if your child don't come. Hey, Carolyn, welcome, welcome. So, I feel you on that. I'm not saying the child doesn't come first, because obviously the child going to come first, but I'm talking about quality time as significantly minimized to the very minimal, because this child has taken over. Like, this child becomes the apple of the eye to your partner. Jill said the child didn't ask to be here. Silas said that's why there's a time for everything in your life. And Coach Cherry says I dated my husband for 3 years, and we were married for 3 before our first child was born, and that was an adjustment, but we were ready. Ooh, we were both never even change a diaper until our son. Yeah, I feel you on that. Silas says I still go to celebrate my carnival party by myself, out and come back after 4 days. Hello. And you're right about that. You were right about that, Silas. Silas said hello. All right, so K Cotton says, now don't get me wrong, we still have fun, but our childs come first. And that's how it should be. Jill said it doesn't matter if it was a plan, made, not planned, or planned. This is why some of these younger folks are having kids after kids, because someone else is taking care of them while they're still partying. And that is true. That is true, Jill. But yeah, I feel all the point of views. But I also feel like any change can be any change, as Coach Sherry said earlier, any change in a relationship can be, a change that needs to be discussed. Because I feel like, and a lot of people, let's put a scenario out there. So now you have your child who is like 7 years old. They'll be able to sleep in their own bed now. But let's say the parent kind of is so attached to the child is so attached to this parent, that this child starting to want to sleep in you guys' bed every single night. Now, I know that's going to pose a problem for a lot of parents. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm trying to get at. It's like there's sometimes a balance is necessary, as people say. So I feel like sometimes too much attention can be a little bit too much. It's Daylight Clay. It's a good point. My daughter has always gave me my due as a mother. There was some things she said she has held on to in the past. She loves me. She tells me I was not as supportive as she expected. Yeah, I just imagine how crushed you were when you heard those things, Miss Clay. But you definitely did a good job, and I know she appreciate all that you did, even though. Because I feel like we as adults now growing up, we're always going to find those things where we're going to have our parents and we're going to say, my mother could have done this better. By the end of the day, we're still grateful for the things that our parents had done back in the past, because they mold us into who we are today. Hey, Edie with Kate Cotton.
Hey, Adrian.
How are you doing tonight, Kay?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So hey, Keely, welcome. So I'm going to go through a few more comments so that we'll hear what you got to say. All right. Animal Lover says, listening, it is important to still date your partner so they don't feel left out. Now, Animal Lover, I love that point of view. Mama Del says, well, keep your private. She said, keep your private in your doggone pants. That's the only way a child ain't coming. If you lay, you pay with time, money, and love. It ain't about you no more. And that's true, Mama Del. That's so true. K Khan said, kids don't take over, but they are more important than us in a respectful way. And you put that in the right way. Hey, Step Rug, how are you doing? Welcome. You definitely put that in the right sentence, K. They don't take over, but they're more important, and that's exactly how it should be. All right, Silas says, no children in my bed. Hell. Silas! Oh, man. Jill said, I was 20 years old when I got custody of my niece, and she wasn't mine. I had to change my lifestyle. There wasn't no if or buts about it. And Jill, that's very commendable of you, because I feel like a lot of people are not going to make those changes because, in their opinion, that's someone else's burden. Even though that's your niece, you have to be commended for that, because it's like it's hard enough trying to adjust your life for your own child, much less, someone else who brought a child and kind of put the burden on you. So you did a wonderful job, and you got to be, proud of yourself, pat yourself on the back, because that's beautiful. Tana said, no child cannot sleep in my bed after a certain age unless they're sick or something. Now, Tana, but the thing is, sometimes these kids get so attached to the parents, like, where it's hard for you to wean them in a sense, like, So I feel you on that, and that's how it should be, but, it's not always that. Thank you, Miss Clay. Coach Sherry says, we had a good bedtime routine. Our kids, and they were down for the night by 8. So the rest of the night for us. Sometimes our friends came over. They couldn't believe that schedule. Routine is key. And that is so true. That is so true, Coach Sherry. You gotta be able to have a routine down pat, because I feel like a lot of times, people stray away from routines, and routines are very important, because the more you have a routine, the more you get accustomed to the whole thing, and it becomes second nature. Maria says, Adrian, I'm going to pick myself from work. You're still going. Thank you, Maria. And then Keely said, absolutely, Jill. That's big for you to do such a selfless act. And that is so true. Hey, Kay, what's your thoughts?
Hey, Adrian. Hey, everyone in the chat. But first and foremost, when you have kids, your kids most definitely come first. Our bus is on the back burner. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. If they get sick, whatever the case may be, you got to stop doing what you're doing. You got to drop everything. If they got a function at the school, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? They need something at the school. You got to go get it. You got to do this, and they always want to be doing some stuff. So your kids always are going to come first. Now, like I said, in a respectful way, they're going to come first, because you and your partner still gonna have your you time or me time or whatever the case you may call it. But them kids coming first. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Okay? And so I have a 20-year-old, and he was born, and he deals with special needs. He has special needs. So baby, he still comes first to this day. And for the rest of his life and the rest of mine, ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. So me and my husband, we drop everything when it comes time for our child. It just ain't no way around it, So, and first and foremost, ain't no 7-year-old sleeping in the bed with me. Get your big teeth, big ear, big belly, pop belly, but in your own bed. It just ain't going down. Attached attached to your own room and your own bed. Ain't nobody doing all that.
Yeah, I feel you. No. But so what's your thought on, like, let's say your husband come to you and he said, since we had this child, the whole, you don't find enough time to spend with me anymore. how do you adjust your whole time frame to accommodate his concerns?
First and foremost, I'm not gonna even be with a man that let that come out his mouth. Okay. Secondly, if a man did come to me and say some mess to me like that, then I'm gonna start looking at him crazy and funny because you evidently jealous of this kid and you should not be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on with you because if we putting this time in with our children or our child or whatever the case may be, it's for the better good of our child. Not
Mm-hmm.
because, oh, I don't want to spend no time with you and all this type of stuff. That's foolishness on so many levels. Like, what's wrong with you where you can't go spend some time with yourself
Mm-hmm.
or spend some time with this kid instead of worrying about what we gonna do when that's why it's a lot of kids out here now illiterate, behind in school, and this, that, and the third because they trying to put on their red dress and their high heels and keep up with that man instead of making sure that child got what that child needs. Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of times these things happen where people neglect their child because their partner may come to them and be like, you know what, you're spending too much time with this child and we're not getting enough me time. And people adjust their lifestyle because of that, because they're like, you know what, this child gonna grow up and go on their own, and I'm gonna be left alone. Because I feel like a lot of times parents, even though they get this child, they don't realize that the child didn't ask to be here. It's their responsibility to nurture this child. But a lot of times people, because their partner becomes a little bit more jealous or upset of the quality time you're spending with that child, they may choose the partner over the child to say, all right, I'm going to choose them because at the end of the day, this child growing up, they're going to be out of the house and I'm going to be left alone.
Well, life changes when you have children. I mean, it ain't no way of looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
Children are a big responsibility. And so, like I said, respectfully, you're going to find time for that man, your husband or wife, vice versa, whatever. You're going to find time and get that time in. But at the end of the day, those children are so important and so valuable to our lives. This kid is our life now. So it ain't no you need more time than the kid. Come on now. Something wrong with you if you thinking and looking in a situation like that because kids do need a lot of time. They do.
Yeah. I feel you on that. All right. So Keely says, when you have kids, life changes and we have to adjust. They didn't ask to be born, and no, after a certain age, kids should know that their night spot is for their parents. No, Keely, I feel you on that. And I feel like a lot of parents are like that. But then sometimes, because this child gets so attached to these parents, it becomes very hard for you to separate those things. Because obviously, as a parent, I don't have kids, but I'm just saying, based on what I've seen, um, parents
Who
don't
are
like to
these
see
kids?
people don't like to see their kids unhappy. So let's say they tell this child, go to your room, and the child start crying. And be like, oh, they're like, all right, come and lay down. I'm just saying sometimes there can be a such thing as too much attention for a child. Do you disagree with that, Kay?
I do believe some parents spoil their children to the extent to where I seen some the other day on the TV where this mother and son would get in the bed together at night and go to sleep, and the dad would go in a whole nother separate bedroom because this child wanted to be in the bed with the mama. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, that wasn't us. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
that is we gotta make these kids have some balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mama Dear and them said,
Mm-hmm.
balance is the key. You're not staying in the bed. No, baby. You finna
Yep.
go in here. You finna lay down. Don't nobody care about you crying. We cried when we was kids. So what? We
Yeah.
cried and got our butts whooped too when we were kids. Okay, so something gonna have to happen with this kid. I don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to happen, but we were taught when it's time for you to go to your room, you go to your room and you go to bed. It is what it is.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So thank you, Jill. Karizak Simple TV said he's on the road to 1K. Now you know they took away the Go to channel feature in live streams. So the best way to do it is to write the names down, and then you can go after and connect. All these people in here are genuine. They're going to be here to support you. So just do it the right way. And thank you, Jill, for pointing that out because I missed that. Um, Jill says maybe he needs to be spending time with you and the child. I think bonding experience between parents and kids are very important, but I feel like the child is gonna get too attached to both parents if you both are just like so consumed with this child. Like I feel like a lot of times when people have kids too, they're so consumed by this child, they become the whole center of attraction. And I feel like in some instances that can be very damaging to the whole relationship and the child on a whole.
I just think if parents are not willing to put that time in with their children, they know having children is a lot. If they not willing to put that time in, put themselves on the back burner, you supposed to party and dropped it like it was hot and twerked and did all of that before you decided to have kids. Now, for as the man, he is one of the main figures that need to be spending time with those children because a lot of times it's always on the mother to nurture and to care for and do all of these things for the children. Men have to do this too as well. It's not all about the mom making sure this child is loved and protected and cared for, and then mom just take care of the husband. You know what I'm saying? It don't work like that. It takes two to make a things go right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So Coach Cherry says, I've heard that before, Adrian, and I've seen it where one partner, typically the wife, goes all out for the child and completely forgets and lose touch with the husband. There has to be a balance. And yeah, that's so true. Tana said, your partner should feel the way you feel about the child. That's true too. If you guys are not on the same page, then it's definitely not going to work. Nikki says, sometimes the parents who is complaining is not doing their share of the work that it happened. Yeah, and that's true because they see you spending the quality time that's required, but they don't know how to spend that quality time, and then it becomes an issue. So yeah. Miss Daylight Clay says the kid's father, your husband, the head of the household, you have an agreement. A lot of children are out of control with one family household who is the leader. And that's true. Welcome, Winston family. I hope I said welcome before. If I didn't, welcome Rico and everybody else in the chat. You hearing a feedback, Kay?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Coach Sherry said, it's simple things like whichever parent comes home last can address and greet the partner before greeting the kids. That shows the order of things. Some come in and go straight to, and that's true. Yeah, it's like, they come in and like, oh, the shopping. So yeah, I feel like, the balance is very important. Tana said, I think it's all about how you balance depending on the situation. And Nikki said, right, dude, help out more and you'll be too tired to complain. And that is so real. Hey, Creative Creole, how are you doing tonight? Welcome.
Hey, Creative.
T says, sometimes I think sometimes people forget that just because a person is a good boyfriend or girlfriend or doesn't mean that they're good parents. And sometimes people are more stuck into weather. Okay. Or that person is a good partner instead of will be a good parent. And that is true, but T, at the same time, you kind of have to prejudge the whole situation and if they're a good partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, to determine if they're going to be a good parent because obviously you've never seen them parent before. So you got to rely on those qualities that they have in order to kind of adjust. But I feel like, everybody who first time have kids, then it's going to be a learning experience. Like for me, I ain't got no kids, but, I had 3 younger siblings that I kind of helped raised, so I got a good nick around. I used to change diapers and all of those stuff. So I'm a little familiar. Miss Daylight Clay said, I'm thankful I'm not complaining. Let's talk. I have 3 successful children, even though they have some discomfort. And that's where it comes down to, Miss Clay. You did a great job. They're successful at this point in time. So all that they were uncomfortable with, it's water underneath the bridge right now, because they now realize that what you did in the past was for their better good. So, yep. Oh, drop the. Sorry, Jilly. Sorry. I'm so consuming getting all of this. All right, there is a link. Coach Sherry said, my kids knew growing up and know that we will stop, drop, and roll for them. But they know my husband and I come before them, and God comes before. And that is facts. You gotta let that comes to. You got to, what you call it, establish that ahead of time so that you don't have any issues. Okay, Silas. It's good now? All right. T says, more than that, a lot of times as people, we don't demand that our partners, okay, similar roles in their child life. Okay. Just a drop the leg. All right. T says, which I think is BS. Hey, Jilly.
Hey.
I think you got another device open.
Hold on. I do. Hold on.
All right. So she said, which I think is BS. My daughters needs their dad to be just a present in their life if it's possible. Right. Until a person as a child you don't know. Facts. Grooming your child never ends. So true. And then the Creative Creole says, I think when your kids are young, they deserve more time.
Hey, so how is it now? Oh, hold on. Wait. Okay. How is it now?
You good now?
Okay. I just want to say this. So let's clear it up. Just so we're clear, because I was kind of confused. So we're talking about children, especially from infant on to when they become, teenagers. Okay, I'm gonna say that. So one thing is for sure is that I just wanted clarity that when children and you get this newborn, and rather is when I couldn't explain it, type it and everything. When they come into this world, your life change. And like I said, yes, that was my niece and she wasn't even my own, but I took that on because you're taking on a child who needs attention for themselves. They cannot think for themselves. They cannot eat by themselves, nor can they teach themselves. And so those are important growth. There's a growth chart at any, and even in teenage years, there is then rather a growth chart where you can't consume yourself all into your kids like that, but you have to play a part where sometime it's grind time. Just like you grinding on YouTube to grow that baby. You know how you trying to grow it and you don't have time for yourself. And you're in there and you're making your channel grow because you got to put out this content. You got to do this. You got to be here. You got to post it there. That is a child. That they need every bit of you at one stage of life to even grow and become them. Into their own person that have knowledge of what they need to do. So there is no such thing to me as how much time is too much time. I kept breaking it down and you were saying, no, but what I'm saying is a child needs to be nurtured, and you can't let a teacher teach them how to how you want your child to become. They're teaching them the things that the government want them to learn. They ain't teaching them how to become a woman, how to become a man. They're not teaching them how to go out there and succeed in life, and how to save and how to do all these things. These things consume us each and every day that we are raising children. So it's always going to be a dotted hour when your child feel like they want to get up and they feel like grown, and now they feel like they need to hang out. Now you need to start paying attention to your children. It's always going to reflect back to any age stage that it is that you start consuming yourself with your children, because it's very important to pay attention. But when they are in the infants and toddler, yes, they need your undivided attention. You cannot sit them in front of a laptop, in front of an iPad, in front of a TV, and let the TV teach them. So if a partner, two different stages, if you with that daddy, that father of that child, he should never feel like you're paying that child more attention if he is also doing the job of raising a child. So he feels the need, because when mama's tired, daddy pick up. When daddy's tired, mommy pick up. Me, I didn't have the pleasures of none of those. I was one. I was one and doing it by myself. So there is no need to say what is too much time, and you cannot push over those duties to a next child. You have to take care of your own children. You didn't have babies for your son or daughter to raise their siblings. You have to have time to still put in the same the same teaching and the same guidance that you put into that oldest child. Those child need to hear those values from you. So that's where the respect builds, that they have more respect for you as well, and not you passing off those duties to the next sibling to do those things, because then the mom bond is broken a little bit. Who is teaching?
Let's say you have a child, right? This child, the child is fed, the child is clean, the child have everything that they're required. You already have the sit down time, bedtime story, all of those different things. And then this child just crying out of no reason, because that quite often happens. Do you they're fine? Do you neglect your whole relationship just to necessarily be there to say, oh, let me make sure this child stop crying, even though you know they're in a secure position? Because I feel like, how I grew up, I feel like, sometimes people will have their child who they have already done everything that they need to do. The child is clean, fed, everything like that. They're in a secure place, but they start crying and they run to their rescue and take them up and be like, oh my God, stop crying. And they're crying for no reason.
Okay, let's back up. Let's back up. Who are we talking about? Once again, I want you to be clear. Are we talking about, is the father of the child, or some man who now is dating a woman with a child that is not his? So
no, I'm talking about the father. I'm not talking about
the father. Yes, let's get into it then. Okay, go on. And then the child is just keep whining. I hear you.
Yeah, whining for no reason. You know they're fine. You know they're not sick. They don't have a temperature. They're fed. They're clean. You do all the necessary things that you need to do. And they're just crying because they need attention from mom and dad. And you already done what's required. What do you think about the other parents taking away time from you guys? As Coach Chris said, they had a schedule for their child to go to bed at 8. So obviously they're going to know that the child is already taken care of. The child have everything that's required, and it is bedtime. And that parent take away time from you guys to bond, to run to that child. In my opinion, I feel like that's too much attention, because now you're spoiling that child to require on you for everything that they need.
Okay, so now that's time for the parents to sit down, because that has been happening from day one then. she's been doing that or he's been doing that. And you are then spoiling the child. So now you're spoiling the child, and then now it's time for rehab. If I would say there's a rehab, because some parents are more attached than the other. So let's talk clearly on that. Some parents are more attached to the children than others. That's a true factor. Some parents are more stern, saying that children don't need as much attention, but the others say something else. And so now it's time for sit down and maybe therapy too, as well, to teach to separate the two of attachment wise, because then that means that someone has been spoiling a child and reacting differently. So in this point in time, we don't know, maybe that person is more, not even, I wouldn't even say attachment, maybe they are, you have some people who are excessively like,
Good
well,
night,
a
Winston
child is
family.
not gonna be a child is not gonna be crying like that if they didn't need anything. Not thinking that, no, that child just knows that whenever she cries, you're gonna come get her or him. No, she just needs, so some people can't separate that factor of a child just won't cry for anything. You get what I'm saying? So they
Yeah, I feel
automatically get into that zone. So then now that's when it's a needed time to come together as a family, not as a jealousy or as anything else in that zone. It's time to sit down and have a talk and say, listen, we've been overly spoiling, and I feel you're overly spoiling. It's not about jealousy thing, because people spoil children. They do, and they spoil it. And that's when those effects come into play, because they are as smart as 3 years old and sometimes two. No, it is from two and on to know, if I do this, even, no, I'm going to go back. I'm sorry. As a infant, at 6 months, 7 months, a baby has an instinct of, if I cry, I know you're coming. Because if that's something you do, when they know they make this noise or they do certain things and you come running each and every time, they know that somebody is going to appear. And it just so happened it be probably one other party. It's always like that. Oh, just let them cry a little bit and they'll go to sleep. And then you got the other party. No, something could be wrong. So they sense when they make this noise or do a certain thing and you're going to come running, they're going to continue doing it, because every child wants attention. I wouldn't care what you say. They all want attention in some sort of way. And that's from infant all the way into adult years. I ain't even stopping at teenage. Adults do the same thing. If I call my mom and say I got an earache, mama sometimes be like, oh, baby, you need some calls. You need me to come over there and make you some soup, as a grown man or woman. So all children seeks that lovely, nurturing love from their parents, because it's natural. But it's for you to know the difference between spoiling a child and just knowing that the child needs what they want. Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel
I'm
it.
just saying. So
One
yeah.
second, Julie. Welcome, creative. Give me 1 second. So I see Miss Daylight Clay says, kids cry for different reasons: drugs, alcohol, lack of love, etc. I just don't agree. And we understand that kids gonna have different reason to act out. But I'm thinking about, like, just a child probably growing up into probably their primitive years, where they are need enough nurturing, yes, and sometimes parents may have um raised them in a way where they are that child that is so close knit to the family, like everything that they whine about, it becomes a situation where they are like, all right, come and lay down with me tonight since you're scared to go into your room. I'm talking about those kids where you're starting to kind of separate the things, because I feel like once you start become a pattern, like a parent. That's why I think that there's something as too much affection, whether it's a child, an adult, or parents or affection to anybody. I'm just saying sometimes affection can be a little bit too much where the child doesn't know how to separate the affection versus needing something. So I understand where you're coming from, but that's what I was just trying to say. Go ahead,
Hi,
creative.
Jill. Hey, Adrienne.
Hey, Creole
Okay,
Sissy.
I already know that my opinion is gonna be very unpopular, but I'm just gonna put it out there anyways.
No, 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 you're good.
I don't think you can ever spoil a child. I don't think you can ever give a child too much affection, too much attention, too much love. I don't think there's a such thing as spoiling a child, because like Jill was saying that, they need to be nurtured, and that's part of nurturing, is giving them that love so they can feel that security and know that you're going to be there, even if they are, like I wrote in the chat, is oftentimes it's just attention seeking behavior when you know that they are clothed and fed and they're taken care of, and you've addressed all of their needs, and they're just seeking extra attention. Then I think it's our job as parents to tap into that and give them what they're seeking so they can have that security. And my
But let's
daughter's
say you and
she's in that
go
age
ahead.
group. She's 8 that you were speaking of. She does it sometimes too. But I mean, and if I need to speak with them, I will get on their level. I'll go eye to eye with them and talk to them. I would never push them off and say, "Oh, they're just she's just whining because she's a crybaby or she's spoiled." I would never do that to my kids. I always make them feel that I'm here for you. I got you. It's okay. Whatever it is, it's not a big deal. And I talk to them eye to eye and speak to see what's going on with them. And as far as time, who gets more time, my kids come first. Like, my husband is the head of the household, and everybody, and we respect him as the head of the household, but my husband and myself, we put our kids first, period. So they didn't ask to come
Amen.
here, and it's our
Amen.
job as parents to to raise them and to give them what they need: time, attention, love, affection, encouragement, whatever that may be. And I don't think you can ever give a kid too much of any of those things.
And when I speak of spoil, when I say that, is that children do need to be taught, like, it is a time where it is time to go to bed. There is times that we're, okay, we've done this already. We had playtime. We done settled down. We done had dinner. You had snack. And now it's time to just relax and just do that. And no, it's not always easy, but they understand that if it's taught. I know my kids did. It was like that because you do need time for you. Now that comes in stages. That does not happen immediately. Those are things that are taught, and those are not natural things where they know that you can't be sitting there saying, that's taught. That, listen, dinner time is time to relax. Snack time, that's getting closer to bedtime. It's wind down time.
But
There
I
should
feel
be no, it has to be in order to have a schedule so that you can have a breather. I'm talking about at certain stage levels, like at 6 and 7, my kids were straight on a schedule, and they knew, listen, when this light go out, that means it's time to go to bed, because I need my energy back to even start over today, because my day used to start at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm not getting home until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night from work. So they're out all day. I'm out all day because they had daycares. And I'm only speaking on a single mom syndrome.
I
I
think that's
had
the
to
same.
teach that schedule. You have to teach them that this is the schedule, and they will follow. And my children followed it. I never had a problem with them getting up. They knew, okay, bath time. They knew after bath time. It was story time, and the story was told that good night. And that was it, because mommy got to start another day. That was the end of the story. It's taught. It's not forced. They don't need that much. They do need attention, but they don't need that much attention. There's a story that you know that it's time to go to bed, and that's it. Because I have to refuel to start my day of getting up at 4:30 in the morning again, cooking breakfast for you, making sure I get out of the house by 6, get you to the daycare so I can report to work by 8 o'clock. Yes, that's a story of a single woman who
And I
needed
feel
schedules. So yeah, that is taught. And if you let them go loosely with a schedule, they're going to go on that schedule. So
true.
I do get where Adrian is saying at some time and point, there needs to be structure that mommy do need her time. I need time to sleep because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be no good to them or anyone else and won't be able to function at a job to keep a roof over my head and to pay my and gas on and lights on. So yes, it's important for, and they do understand at the ages of 5 and 6 of what time it is to go to bed and what needs cut off. Yes, it is. It's
I
a
think
structure.
yeah, kids are very smart, even at that young age. And I agree that kids do need structure at a very young age. And I think that it's important to establish a pattern, like a nightly pattern, so they can get used to it. And you don't have, that kind of turmoil when you're trying to, you know, let them know, hey, it's time for you to settle down and go to bed. But I just disagree with, just saying, oh, a kid's just being spoiled. They're crying out for attention. You should just, just ignore it and not address it just because, they're
I
labeled
don't
as
feel like
spoiled.
it's ignoring though creative. This I feel like the point that I was trying to get at is like, let's say you have a child, right? And this child knows bedtime is 8 o'clock every night. They are going to be sleeping in their room and all those different things. And this child follows the rule every single night. But there's one night that they, had something. Then now that's a change in pattern. So it must be something that's wrong with them. But if you have a child that's very delinquent, you talk about go to your bed, it's 8 o'clock, and every night they have a fuss and a fight about it. Like, I want to stay with you. In that instance, I feel like that becomes an issue because I feel like that's where too much attention came about. Because I feel like a lot of times, as I said, I don't have kids, but I've seen so many situations where a lot of times you see kids get so attached to their parents that when they move out of the household, they can't even mop a house for themselves because they were so
That's
attached.
different. Yeah, that's different than a child because I'm dealing with that with my 4-year-old right now. He doesn't like to go to bed when it's time to go to bed, and he stalls. He's thirsty. He needs to go potty. He does all this stuff, and my husband and I usually my husband's the one to go in because he's sterner and he
Mm-hmm.
has that presence. So they'll get it together when he goes in. But
Mm-hmm.
we just talk to him and just let him know, hey, it's time to go to bed. You know, stop it. We're not going to keep going through this, whatever. And then eventually, he wear himself out. Even if he does cry, he'll cry
Yeah.
himself sleepy. Eventually, he'll fall out. But we don't just ignore him and say, "Oh, he's just spoiled." We go through this every night because,
Mm-hmm.
as I think, as our jobs as parents is to nurture our kids and to make them feel secure and to let them know that it's going to be okay because obviously he's unsettled,
Mm-hmm.
something going on with him. I mean, he does it every single night, but
Mm-hmm.
kids, they're only kids for such a short period of
Mm-hmm.
time, like for such a small period. They grow up so fast. So I think as parents, we should do the best that we can to be patient with our kids and to give them as much love and affection as we can while in those growing stages. It's
True.
hard sometimes and it gets very frustrating. It's difficult sometimes, but I mean, I think that as parents, that's what we should do. Not just say,
I
oh,
feel
just
you on
spoil
that
it and
because
blow
it's
it up.
like if you neglect your child, then he's gonna feel like mom don't care and all those stuff. So I feel you on that because that he's probably struggling with certain things as where it's like sleeping and all of those things. So I feel you on that, but I feel like in your situation it's slightly different from a lot of people who let their child become so attached that in some instances, because I can tell that based on what you're saying, there's also a balance in everything. But that he's this way where he's struggling with certain things, so you're trying to work with him in order to fix those things.
He
So I
just don't
feel
want
you
to
on
go to
that.
sleep. That's all. He just want to stay up and party all night. He just don't like to go to bed when it's time to go to bed.
Yeah. All right. Let me
But
catch up on a few. Go ahead, Jill, and then I'll catch up on a
no,
few.
okay. I just want to say, but it is. I have seen the cases, And I have spoke on it too, and I'm not saying a such thing. There, you can't say that there isn't a situation or such thing as spoiling your kids, because it is. And it is where that every time, like, some just can't. And I mean, I know it's nurturing, but some people feel the need to, like, every begging call is a call that needs to be addressed.
I think it's an
Sometimes,
individual thing. I think some parents, if they feel the need, if they feel that need that they're at their kids every beck and call, then maybe for them it might provide some comfort for the parent, not necessarily the child. So I think
That's
every
true.
but
situation is
that's what I'm
different.
saying. But
But
that's still spoiling the child,
I
though,
don't think so.
because it is
I don't think
because
so. I don't think a child can be spoiled. If
yeah.
I think with material things, and if the kid is acting sassy, if they're being disrespectful, if you're giving them too much material things, I can see spoiling in that sense. But I don't think a kid can ever be spoiled with too much affection or attention ever, no matter the
Well, I
situation, even
think
if
it's
they're crying
moved.
out for it.
It's used loosely, but it is spoiled. You are
Mm-hmm.
spoiling the child. I said you're spoiling the child. I'm saying, so, which there. I'm not saying that child is spoiled, but you're spoiling the
I
child.
don't
And
agree that a
so,
kid should be
this is
spoiled.
why you spoiling the child, because it's the same thing as when a parent sit there, and when a child knows that if I go to daddy, I could get a yes, and when I go to mommy, I'm gonna get a no. So you know
Mm-hmm.
what that child gonna do? That child's gonna keep going to daddy, because I could get
Mm-hmm.
anything I want out of daddy, because he has that. Yes, it is with
Wait, Jill.
daddy,
Let's
but
let's get this straight. Let's get this straight. You're saying, because based on what I understand, she's not saying you are spoiling your child creative. She's just saying in general, you
Yeah,
know,
right. I'm
us
talking
I
about in
understand what she's saying.
general.
She's saying if a kid's calling
I'm
out, or if a
talking
kid's
about
taking
in
advantage,
general.
if they're exploiting a situation, so to speak, if a kid know they can get away with something.
Exactly.
But
And there.
I don't think that a kid can be spoiled in that way. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think if a kid is seeking affection or extra attention, I don't think you can ever spoil a kid. Like people say, "Oh, put that baby down, and you're gonna keep holding that baby. That baby's gonna be spoiled."
Yeah. And they baby
I
ain't
don't
gonna go
think
to
you can
sleep.
spoil a baby. I don't think you can spoil a baby because
But
that's
that
a
baby
baby,
going to get used to sleeping under you.
and
Hold on.
that's fine, and I think that's okay because as they want to feel that comfort, they want to feel that security, they want to feel
Mm-mm,
nurtured.
no.
I don't think
But
you
Creole
then,
can
is
but
a
ever
then,
certain
spoil.
thing that's too much, though. Your baby,
I don't think
listen,
that's too
I'm
much, ever
talking
too much
about
affection or
when,
love.
Jill.
There's never too much affection or love that you can give a child, and they want that. They want more of it. They want more of it because they like the feeling, because it feels
Mhm.
good to be loved on. It feels good to be held close. It feels good to be nurtured by your mom, dad, whoever. So I don't think when people say, "Oh, you're gonna hold that baby too much and spoil them," I don't think you can ever spoil a baby
But
or
then,
a child
but they
ever.
don't know the difference, Creole. Just like if you keep feeding the baby going to keep eating. Because the baby don't really know how
But
much it
giving a
needs to
baby
be.
food,
Now, listen, it's the, wait, can I
it's not
break it
that you
down
can't
real quick?
compare food, but you can't
It's,
compare food to love because you can hurt a
it's,
baby by overfeeding them. You can never
No,
overlove a
listen.
kid.
Could I say this? What I'm saying, we're not, that's not, now that's a attachment. You just
Mhm.
said it earlier. That is about the parent. That ain't even about this. So the parent feels that they need that baby there all day. But that baby don't really know. So if that baby get immune to sleeping in your bed
Mhm.
every night, that wasn't that baby choice. That was your choice to
Mhm.
put that baby in that bed every night. And now, because they don't know the difference between how to sleep without the smell and how to
Mhm.
sleep with the smell, who did that?
Well,
You
that's
spoiled
different.
the baby. No,
Well,
it's the
wait, no.
that's what
Now
we were just
you're
talking
speaking of
about.
co-sleeping now. Now you're speaking of
No, we
co-sleeping.
just
That's
saw,
a different situation.
but that's what he was saying when the baby's attached to a parent keep picking up to the same
Yeah, but
things
I get where you're going, but you're going,
of
but co-sleeping and holding, that's two different things. And I can see where you're going when you're saying that could lead to that potentially, but that's if a parent chooses to do that. I think that's every parent's individual
because
choice if
I
they
see
want to
parents
co-sleep.
hold them all day. They fall asleep on their chest. They wake up on their chest. And then when it's come the time where they want that break, and now that you want to put that baby down in that, listen, I was one of those parents and I
Me
had to
too.
learn
I
differently.
when
And you know what?
I did
Jazzy
that
did
with
not
both my
want to
kids.
sleep
With both
in
my kids,
her
I held
crib.
them all day. Both my kids, my son and my daughter, I was a stay-at-home mom with both my kids, so I was able to do that. I held them all the time. They were always close to me. I was always loving on them, hugging on them. I mean, even
And
now,
she,
I'm like that with with my
All right,
son.
right,
so
and
T,
she
And
didn't
some
want to
people may
sleep
think
in
it's
her. She didn't want to sleep in her crib. Who created that? I did.
But
But
that's
she
up,
didn't
yeah, but
ask for
that's up
that.
to you. I think as a parent, you have to do what you feel comfortable with. If you're comfortable with your child, being on you all day, and if you're able to do that, by all means, do what works for you and your baby. If you're not, and you have to have someone else be a caregiver to your kid, then you may not be able to do that. But you have to do that's an individual choice, and it's no right or no wrong. It's up to the parent to do what fits their lifestyle and what works for them.
but let's say you as you said, there's no way of spoiling a child or giving too
Yeah, I
much
don't think you
affection.
can ever give too much
But
protection to a
how
child.
how do you think that child gonna fit it into the world?
I feel like if you give a child a lot of love and affection, they would fit into the world better because they would feel that sense of security from their
Hmm.
parent. They will feel like they're loved and that they're nurtured. So I think it would be a smooth transition. Like for my daughter, when she had to go off and go to school, she
Hmm.
didn't really have an issue. I mean, I was there, like, with her, because I mean, that was more for
Right.
me
And you were
than for her.
still there. So
But
she was comfortable. So
I mean,
you
but
didn't
eventually
leave
she
her.
transitioned on her own, and she did just fine because she knew that she was going to be okay. But I mean, for my own peace of mind as a parent, I was there to make sure that she was going to be okay because
So,
that's
Right.
all
my
right,
role.
at this young age, I can feel that. But I'm saying, let's say you birth a child, and from that day pointing forward until this child leaves your household, you are saying there's no such thing as showing too much love. Like I feel like even
No,
when you
not too
have
much
kids,
love, no. But I don't think there's a such thing as ever showing too much love, ever, 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 or giving too much affection, ever. But
I
as a
agree
kid
with
grows
that.
up, you do have to give them responsibilities, and you do have to teach them how to manage on their own. You have to teach them how to take care of themselves, so that when
I
they go
agree
out
with
on their
that.
own, they're able to function as an adult and as an independent person. But as far as giving them love and affection, you can never ever give a child, a teenager, an adult, if your kid, you can never give your kid too much love and affection ever,
all right. So let's say you have
or
a
attention.
16-year-old child, and which a 16-year-old child should be able to function on their own. They need you, of course, for certain things. But let's say you have a 16-year-old child. You are laid up in your room with your husband or your boyfriend or whatever, and then they come and want to force themselves right in the middle of that. Don't you think that's an issue?
At 16, that's inappropriate behavior. So that should be addressed. That's not appropriate for a
But if the
16-year-old
child
child.
is so accustomed to doing these things up until that point in time, how are you going to change it?
Not until they're 16. You're not gonna do that to a
Adrian, come
16 year
on.
old. You're
No,
gonna
I'm
stop
just
it.
keeping
You're
it
gonna
real
stop. You're
because
gonna do that when
Adrian.
they're
no,
younger.
listen,
You don't wait till a kid gets 16 to teach them that they have to be independent. That's a
no,
far
but
stretch.
listen. Jill said this is a part of affection.
It
If
is
you
that's not
I didn't
affection.
say that. I
That's not
said,
affection.
no.
so I'm saying what creative is saying. There's nothing as too much affection.
It's not.
If you
But that's
have a
what
No,
I'm
I'm
child,
saying.
talking about
Having a kid
listen,
wedge himself between you and your partner, that's not affection. That's inappropriate behavior.
that's a little
but
bit too much.
if
That's a
this
little
child
bit too much.
requires your affection all the time, they are not going to know how to separate when it's not the right time for the affection. That's what
At,
we got to get.
at 16, that's
I
a
think
ridiculous.
Creole is just speaking of her situation right now, which
Hey,
her
Michelle.
kids is not Her kids is
I'm
not
speaking
that.
in
Her kids
general.
is
Like,
not that. Her
I'm
kids
speaking in
is not
general.
that old yet
Yeah,
to
but still,
say.
Jill, learned behaviors are hard to break away, and
No,
I
and
feel like
that's what I was trying to say. Like, if you continue on with that pattern of them coming in the bed, I mean, and doing
But the
all
thing is
those
that once
things.
a kid starts to go to school, once a kid becomes school age, they start to be more independent because for the majority of the day, they are away from you and they start to build relationships outside of your family. They start to have school friends, they start to do things on their own. And as a parent, it's your responsibility to equip them with the skills to be able to function as an individual. So
Not all
you
the
have to,
time, Creole, because I got friends who kids are listen, their kids are like 9 years old.
one
well,
And
second.
they
I mean,
still they
that's
still want
them,
to
but I mean,
they still want to get in the bed and they parents don't feel anything is wrong with
but
that.
that's them. That's an individual choice. I don't judge anybody for what they do with their
Me
kids.
either,
Each
but I'm
is
just trying to
individual. But
say,
I'm just saying, at some point, when kids do go to school, they do break away. Even if there is an attachment, sometimes kids do have like separation anxieties. There are disorders that kids do have. But even at a school age point, when they start to break away, they do develop some sort of independence, and they gradually they break away and they grow out of that attachment. That's usually like with younger kids.
All right,
mm,
so T, I would love for you to grab the link and come and talk about, because I feel like even though you guys say that's so-called inappropriate behavior, the thing is this: if I've seen it happen so many times. Right now, I know someone who is of a grown man status, like really old. His mom spoiled him all his life, in my opinion, how I consider it spoiled. He's so accustomed to being the only person that his mom shows the most affection to, and she's always having him so close, like he's attached to the hip. Now, you guys are saying inappropriate behavior is different from nurturing, but if you nurture your child and every time the child have a fist about something and you constantly run to their whatever, and they don't have the separation of, listen, this time is not for you, you're okay, then I feel like they're going to be growing into these situations where even at 16, now you're going to run into an issue, because once they start getting older and you said to them, you're like, listen, you're trying to break away those habits that you have already created when they were a child of what I call too much nurturing, which I don't have kids, but at the same time, I've seen people grow and I know how I grew up. So I feel like it's going to be hard to break away, and I don't think it's about inappropriate behavior, because they're not going to consider that inappropriate, because it used to happen when they were a child who understand that I'm feeling a certain way and this is nurturing.
no,
At
Adrian,
16.
that's a different age. Listen, first of all, as age levels increase, there is different boundaries. And when I was speaking of saying, at certain age levels, my children was taught like
Mm-hmm.
it's such a thing. There is such thing as age levels. Me myself, if I wasn't with the dad, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna speak clearly on that part because you said this is relationships where the parents are together and that is the parent
Mm-hmm.
dad. I mean, the dad is the parent of the child, biological father.
Mm-hmm.
There's age levels, so that's why I wanted to get on here to clear that up. Now,
Mm-hmm.
at certain ages, like Creole said, there are certain times where things do happen. No, we're gonna they may be scared, they may be, I don't know what the reason is, because we
Mm-hmm.
do have to realize that certain children need to get used to, some are easy to adapt being out the womb and
Mm-hmm.
some are not. So I know of a couple of children who are troubled with
Mm-hmm.
being without a womb, like feeling like they are out of the womb and they feel danger, and they do
Mm-hmm.
feel like they need that cuddle. Now, does that mean be laid up? That's different from being in there with your parents. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you're involved with such and such, I mean, that's a thing where it comes to a line. you know, hey, this is not this dad's child. So that's why I said it comes different situations of what you're speaking of, if that's the father, because the father will more understand, and the child will have a more balanced life of saying it's not too much time. He doesn't feel like that's too much time because he's going through the process along with the mother as well, watching this child grow into their own. And as they get past a certain age level, yes, there is going to have to be some boundaries where you just got to stop. But you can't say that with a child who is from infant to growing into themselves and still unsure, because you don't know what that child really is going to, but you do know some children who just request attention all the time.
And I don't
That
think
is a different,
nothing's wrong with that. All kids want
right.
attention because
Yeah.
that's just
So
that's part of growing up and wanting to be nurtured. And I mean, that's what kids do.
I
And
get that part.
but I don't
Yes.
think you can ever spoil a kid, especially a baby, not especially when you say have a
Not no
baby raised up
baby. I
on
don't
you
think a
all day.
baby. But I'm
Both my
talking about
kids were
after
laid
they
up on
get
me.
into a certain age bracket, they do need to, my opinion, they do need to know, hey, it's time, because you do have to start making ample time for yourself, not just for yourself, but I'm talking about that little breather time where it is time to
But
go to bed and
yeah,
stuff
but
like
that's
that.
T,
That's what I
grab the
mean.
link, T.
But like Adrian was saying, a 16-year-old, at 16, you know better. I mean, at 10, you know better. I
Yeah,
mean, there's certain
yeah, that's
behaviors
too much.
that's just socially acceptable, and that's not appropriate. But as far as a baby and nurturing a baby, there's no such
No,
thing.
but what I was
Because
trying to
you're
get at, I
nurturing,
was saying that as the child grows, I
yeah,
feel like the
that's what I
nurturing
was
gonna
that,
twinkle. That's what I feel.
that's what I was saying earlier. Like when
Yeah.
I was speaking before, when a child gets older, when they start to become school age and they go off and they have their own time away from you, then that's the time when they do start to develop relationships outside of the family, and they do have independence, and that's when
Ooh.
that's when that attachment kind of dissolves, as they grow up from there. And that's,
Yeah,
I mean, that's a
because
normal
that's what I was.
process.
That's what I think where we had the disconnect right there, because I felt like what you were saying was that that's what I was saying, something as
I
too
think
much
you felt like,
love in a
Adrian, that if
sense.
you
Because
I think you
go
felt
ahead.
you were saying that the way that they are as a 2-year-old is going to be the same way that they are as a 16-year-old. They're going to have that same expectation of wanting to be close to you,
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because I feel like
and that's not
if
realistic.
but listen, if you as a parent, right, the
Hmm.
child becomes one, right, you treat them
Right,
this way. They becomes two, you treat them the same way. They becomes five, you treat them the same way,
right.
and you don't kind of wean them off. That's what I was saying. Like certain things that were acceptable at one, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Something as too much love, and I was saying if the child becomes older, then there is something as in the child requires less
Of
attention.
course, yeah. But you said
So that's what
16.
I was trying to get at, but I feel like a
Yeah,
lot of people are saying that there's not, no matter the age, the child still requires a certain level of love, which is
they
facts.
do. Yeah,
Child gonna have
yeah.
certain things that they need to discuss with you, and they're gonna have certain emotions that they're gonna need taken care of. But I feel like
I
baby
still
and a
believe that.
child, it's like once a child reaches a certain age, you got to start treating them differently than how you treat them when they were younger, as it relates to like parenting and how you have conversation with them and all those things. It's like
Right.
But
But
Adrian, that's called
even
age
as a
appropriate
16-year-old, I think they
behaviors.
still do require they still want that love and attention. I don't think as a parent, you never stop loving and giving your kids attention, even as they
no
grow up.
love and attention, but to what extent?
I don't think there is an extent. I don't think you can
But
put.
that's what I'm saying. So if you
I don't
treat the
think you
child with the
can.
same amount of love and affection as it relates to behavioral,
It
like
depends on
different
that.
things
It
from.
depends. It's an individual case. It depends on that child's needs, because every child is different and every child requires different things. It depends
Mhm.
on that level of attention and love that specific child requires. It just depends on your kid. I don't think that you can put a ceiling on when to stop loving or giving affection to your kid. You can't do that. But
I feel like that's what Kay was saying earlier. It depends on the needs of the child. But
yeah,
I'm saying, but that's why you guys saying it's inappropriate behavior. But let's say you have a 1-year-old child. Let's say you have 2 kids. One is 7 and one is 16. And the affection, like let's say certain things that they used to gripe about, and it's a factor when they're 6 versus 16. It shouldn't be the same amount of attention you give to those same gripes from a 16-year-old versus 6-year-old.
It depends on the child, because if a 16-year-old has special needs, or if they require.
All right, let's take the special needs out of it.
But it depends on the child. You can't. It depends on everyone's an individual, and everyone requires different things. Everyone has different needs. So as a parent, I would never put a cap or a ceiling on the affection or love I give my kid ever. At different ages, they will require different things. And as a parent, you have to set boundaries for your kids, and you have to let them know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. That's your job to do. And you have to communicate that to them so that they know and that they feel comfortable with that. But I would never say, oh, this is too much. I don't feel like as a parent, you can ever give too much love, time, attention, affection, ever.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying the love and affection should be. Maybe I'm not saying it correctly. I'm not saying love and attention should be different, but I think there should be different expectations.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like a 16-year-old shouldn't expect you to give them as much time as you would a 1-year-old. I totally get what you're saying.
So that's what I'm saying. But if you constantly, the more the child grows in age and abilities, I feel like that's where, as a parent, you're gonna start to be like, all right, you have excelled to the next level. So I still love you, I still nurture you, but certain things that were acceptable when you were 1 is not acceptable when you were 2.
Right, and I totally agree with that. And that's what I.
But you have a lot of parents who don't make those adjustments, and then that's why I was saying some kids at 16 still think it's acceptable to roll up in their mama's bed in between their husband and wife because the parent didn't adjust the whole thing.
The parent didn't set that boundary. Then obviously
that's what I'm saying. But I think T was saying that's just disrespectful. But if the child is accustomed to this thing,
right,
and the parent didn't set those boundaries, it's not even disrespect because learned behavior is what you think is acceptable.
No, that I agree with. That's true, because you can't let a child go to 16 and then pump the brakes all of a sudden. No, you have to start at a very young age to establish those type of boundaries.
Yeah.
Well,
T, welcome. How are you?
Say that.
Hi,
I'm
T.
good. I didn't say.
What did you say, T?
I think I was just saying that.
Go ahead. Say what you got to say.
I was saying that I don't agree that you can ever spoil a child. That I think, and that I think that you can start habits that you can't maintain. Right. So if you know that you are very busy, do not start overextending yourself with your child. But at the same time, I do think that children need a lot of time, a lot. So I don't believe that I can hold my baby too much. I think I'm gonna hold her to death. I'm gonna hold her as much as I know that she wants to be held. And so yeah, all
right, let's put it this way, but check this out. Obviously, most people, if you have more than one child, right? And you are not going to probably stay in the same position that you are in currently for the next 20, 30 years. Your life going to change in some way or fashion. How do you think raising 2 kids that you have raised 2 separate ways going to affect each other? Because let's say you're saying that it depends on how you, the time that you have and all of those stuff. But let's say you have 2 kids right now. Let's say you raise your older daughter separate from how you raise the new one. Whereas she didn't get to be held in your hand because you have the time. I'm just saying, but was your situation the same when you had your first daughter versus now?
I think that I'm more busy now. But I think that I still give them the same amount of time.
Not currently. I'm saying prior. Well, what I'm trying to get at is that I feel like, as you said, the more you hold your baby and all those things. I feel like as a baby, yes, there's a difference, but I especially now I've seen it close to home where it's like, the mom raised a child one way, the dad raised a child one way, and it becomes a whole different situation because of how, whatever it is. But it's like, I feel like, holding a child too much can be, whereas you trying to get away and nobody will keep that child because
Well,
this child
I
cries
don't
too
believe
much. This child
that I
requires
can
too
hold
much
my baby
attention.
too much. I don't believe I can hold her too much. And as far as like, me raising her one way and her dad raising her another thing, I think that parents should communicate on how they want to raise their children. And that's something that you just have to be on board with. Both parents need to be agreeing on how they're going to raise their children. And I know that sometimes that doesn't work, but I think that people should try to do that as much as possible. Yeah.
So let's touch a little bit
wait,
more
for my
on
situation, Adrian, I try to do that. For my I know that I don't like, okay, so I know that everyone is different, and certain in certain situations you can make certain choices and you just gotta roll with the punches that life throws at you. But for me, I planned when I was gonna have my first kid. I planned when I was gonna have my second kid, and I really tried, because for me, I know that I was raised a certain way, and there were some things I didn't like, and so that before I decided to have kids, I really, really tried to try to make sure that I'm creating an environment and a situation that I can handle, and that I'm raising or being the type of mom that I want to be. Now I know that a lot of people can't do that, but for me, that's what I try to do.
All right, so Equally said no kids need attention, and your partner too, but the partner needs to understand that the child needs attention, but it all comes down to the attention the partner needs. And but I think a lot of people were saying that the partner should be understanding that the child comes first, Christine. So it is one of those things where it's a per se basis, and it all depends on how you grow up and all of those different things and how you look at it in a specific way, because I feel like, and I think T views are a little bit different based on that she been here for a long time. But it's like, growing up in Jamaica, it's like typically people think holding your child too much is spoiling them. Because, sometimes it's going to be very difficult for you to move out of those ways, because now nobody else gonna be able to give the child the same amount of attention, like holding the child and all those things for too long.
Yeah, Adrian, so the thing is, like, I'm able to be with my kids as much as I want. So, I can't really speak on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm with my kids most of the time.
So you're saying that's why you feel like there's holding a child too much or anything like that is not per se
I just
spoiling the
don't
child.
think that you can hold a child. Are we talking about a baby?
No, not necessarily like a baby,
Like,
but
what
I'm just
age?
saying.
Because the age group is different. Like, you give kids different amount of time depending on how old they are and what their needs are. So it really just depends. So let's say I have a 8-month-old right now, right? I hold her as much as she want to be held. When it's time, and I don't have an issue with her sleeping as far as like her going to sleep in her own crib. She sleeps in there. And when I just had her, so I had a C-section. So when I just had her, I kept her really close. She was in a bassinet next to my bed, and I co-sleep with her as well. But as time progressed, I started to teach her how to be in her crib. And it was difficult, but it's always difficult when you're transitioning into a new phase with your children. Now, if you don't have the time, I understand that. But for me, I do have the time. So I am able to, like, do these transitions with my kids. Like, it was difficult to get my first kid out of my, I co-sleep with her until she was like 1. And this is why my husband was like working away, and it was just her and I. So I felt like I needed her as much as she needed me, and so we co-slept. And it was difficult to transition her into her own bed, but I had the time to do that. And I don't
Hey,
think I was
Silla.
wrong for doing that. I think that,
Hey, ahora.
different family
Ahora
has
you got
different
it.
needs.
Yeah, I feel that, and I feel where creative is coming from, but at the same time, it is it is per parent basis, and different people have different views on it. And I think Jill had a strong view on it too, because
Yeah,
it's
I can see where Jill is coming from. I just, where she's coming from, I feel like, and I'm not speaking for you, Jill, but I felt like you were, if I were to like try to say what you were saying, I'd probably say that because I'm busy, I don't want to create habits that I can't maintain, right? Because I don't want to teach my kid that I'm going to give you all this time and I really can't maintain it, because she was right. Like, your mom needs to be happy and functioning. And if mom is not happy and functioning, that kid is not gonna get the best from her. So you, in that situation, is give and take. You gotta prioritize what's more important and what you can do for the kid at the time.
all right. Let's ask you a question, T. Do you think that your mom, because I can speak for myself. Growing up, my mom didn't per se, like, I knew my mom loved me. She did everything that she needed to do for me. But even though she said you stay in the yard, all of those things, me and my mom were close. I don't feel like me and my mom was so attached that moving forward into my adulthood life, I need my mom what do you call it? No, approval. If, let's say, I'm going to go start something brand new, I don't need to call mom, because I feel like sometimes we create these situations where our kids depend on us too much, and they seek all these different things, because like they can't make a decision on their own. They're always going to need mommy or daddy to justify why they should do it or not do it. So do you think that your mom growing up, your mom was the type to who nurture you so much that you were like, you depend on her for everything?
No, Adrian, I was out of my mom's house since I was like 20. Like, I was out of there. I was real independent. I think she gave me a lot of love. I do think my mom was, so for most of my life, well, when I was younger, so like say pre-13, my mom was a single mom, so she didn't have a lot of time to give me. But when she wasn't working, I did spend a lot of time with her, and we're very close. But I don't think that I'm independent because she didn't give me enough time, or or she gave me. I can't explain it. Like, so like right now, right? I give my kids a lot of time, but at the same time, I still have to teach them to be. I'm teaching them to be independent in ways. I'm teaching them a lot of different things at the same time that I'm giving them all this love. So I don't think, so I have to say, I don't think that you can give your kids too much love and too much time, first of all. And then secondly, while you're giving them this time and this love, you are teaching them other things at the same time. Like, you're not just teaching them one thing. So my daughter, even though I give her so much time, she still, sometimes she don't want to be around me. She go about her business.
Remember, no, we didn't. Remember, I think we were talking mostly about attention, too much attention. Because love and nurturing, I don't think love can be too much, but attention can definitely be too much.
So how
go ahead, Silas.
I'm not
1 second, T. Let Silas go ahead, because it's late for her.
Hi,
go ahead, Silas.
Hi, everybody. I was listening to the live what everybody was saying, and what I wanted to really say is that teaching children, like education, is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Everybody teach their children in different ways, and what is going on sometimes. When you wake up in the morning and you say, okay, you wake up today, but let's give an example. Tomorrow you pass away and that child is there. He expect you to be there, but you're not there anymore. So the nurturing, the love, the time that you have given your child, you think that somebody else will give your child that? No. Because I'm going to give you an example. My sister needed one weekend. My sister needed help, so I bring all the 3 children to my house. So the baby, I think she used let her sleep next to her till she fall asleep. So I don't nurture my children like that, So I was putting the child to bed. This child keep me the whole night awake. I was like, wow. While I was teaching my children, even when they are baby, I put you in your bed, you fall asleep without nurturing and all those things. You know, we as parents cannot always be there for our children. You know, that's also a side that we have to see. We cannot always be there, especially when they're at school. You know, when something happened at school, you cannot be there at school to be like, oh, you know, nurturing and all those things, giving them all the attention that they used to get at home. You know, sometimes we need to have a balance, a balance. You can give your child so many love, but sometimes tough love is also love. You understand? So that's what I wanted to say, you know.
No, she came up and said what she wanted to say. It's silly. So why did you do us like that, silly? Go ahead, T. Sorry to break you, but I just wanted her to say what she needed to say because she
yeah, it's fine.
late for her.
Yeah,
Wait.
I mean,
Silas, are you still here?
Sorry. I don't know what happened. I just found out. So yeah, what I was saying, yeah, tough love. Sometimes we need to be strict with our children. You know, sometimes we need to be strict. It's about when I tell you to go sleep, it's time to sleep, it's time to sleep. For you to jump and do a lot of things and all those things, if the child is used to those things, believe me, he's not gonna stop it till you put a line. He's not gonna stop doing it. Children, they test you every day. They test your limits. They will test you. They will test your limit. And if you don't put a stop on it, they will not stop. And what you were saying, that what you teach your children when they're 2 years or 3 years old, believe me, when they reach 20 or 30 years old, they will keep doing it. Because if you accept your child to if you're speaking on the telephone, I give example, and the child come and say, mama, 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 and you have never told your child to, when I'm on the phone, don't interrupt me, that child will be doing it all the time. Even if you're in public or anywhere, the child will behave like that. And then you will be and then you will be asking yourself why? Because since the child was little, you let the child behave like that. You know, there is a balance. It's very difficult. I know it's very, very difficult to raise children, but sometimes it's good to get advice. You know, I like that program on television, The Nanny. I love that program so much because that nanny is putting children to sleep by their own. Parents that have battled with this many years, that children cannot go to sleep by their own. You see what that nanny do? He put that child on the bed and he closed the door. And he tell the mother, don't go inside. And then at a couple of days, in a couple of days, that child is sleeping on his own bed. You understand? Yeah, that's what I wanted to come and say.
I feel you on that, Silas. That's I feel like that's where I was trying to get at, because it's like sometimes, you know, showing affection, nurturing, and all those stuff and attention, even though that they're important, it sometimes face problems, because now, you know, the child doesn't know how to separate those affection, attention moments versus time that you need to do certain things. But yeah, I feel you. Go ahead, T. I see your text and the stuff, so we're gonna wrap it up in a minute.
I can't, like, I don't think anything that I say should apply to other parents, and I do think that, you know, you do what you can, and as a parent, that's all you can do. And
True.
You know, I don't think anybody else's opinion is wrong. I don't think mine is better. I don't think it's worse. I just think, you know, this is just what I do, and this is just what I believe for me and my kids.
Yeah, I feel like we all can learn from each other, and I feel like a good balance in both parenting styles is very important, because at the same time, you don't want your child to feel neglected or anything like that, but there's also a line in between, in my opinion, of too much affection. And I guess it's because of how I grew up and all those things. Because as we always say, your upbringing is very important to how you have certain outlooks on different things. So I think, how I grew up, I had affection. I knew I was loved, but at the same time, I knew my boundaries. Like I knew I can't just cry and mommy gonna run come to me because unless mommy know that I'm really in need of something. Like I've said I'm sick before. Mom say you're going to school and they call her back from school, be like your son is down here vomiting. You need to come and get him. So certain things like that, because it's like mommy probably gonna be like and I wasn't the child who seek attention or trying to be whatever, validated or anything like that. But she had a certain principles that she wanted to live by. Be like, you got to go to school every day, you got to have perfect attendance and all those things. And no matter what I was gonna say, it still wasn't gonna change her point of view. So I knew at a certain age, like growing, like even now, my brother is 30 and stuff like that. I'm 27, and my brother would come over there, he like, oh mom, and come there trying to hug her. She's like, get away. It's not because she don't love him or anything like that, but it's just like the space is not like that anymore where you're coming playing like stuff like that. If you just see each other, then it's like, okay, lovey-dovey, whatever. So I feel everybody's point of view, and it's a great conversation, and everybody's point of view is very valid, as you say. So yeah, but I see you say you got something to do, so if you have any final thoughts, you can just say it, and then I'm just gonna wait on Jill to hit the button because we're almost at 2 hours.
Okay. I already said my final thought.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. Well, good
well,
night,
thank
everyone.
you, T.
You're welcome.
And the conversation is, over here is kind of crazy. Okay, Zion, thank you. Over here, the conversation always jump from one point to the next point, and it's all in love. We all have a healthy discussion, and we kind of get different point of views from everybody. I feel like we all can learn from everybody. So, that's good. Yeah, so we teach and learn from each other. And that's exactly how it is. Okay, Julie, we got like 9 minutes and then we'll come over there. So I'll just let you know whenever we're ready. But yeah, so Creative Creole, I appreciate your opinions, and I do see where you're coming from. I hope everybody see where I was coming from. Maybe I didn't use my words correctly, because I don't know how to use my words correctly. I speak patois. So yeah, it's all in love, and we just have a healthy conversation. Because me here, as I said, I kind of helped raise my 3 younger siblings in a sense that, my mom had to work long hours. I had to do certain things that I had to do. So I kind of get a feel of it, but I don't have kids. So maybe I can learn something from everybody, all these topics that we come about, we can all learn something, and everybody has some great point of views and everything like that. So yeah, I think the whole translation of spoil is a wide terminology that different people use, because I feel like some people version of spoil is material things, as a lot of people say in the chat, and certain people points of spoil is just giving too much attention, which a lot of people say that's not a big deal. So yeah, yes, so it's not a easy balance. Eat cook a level of 16. What are you talking about? I'm done. Yes, Kay. It was very, a good conversation, and I appreciate everybody's point of view. It was, a good, healthy conversation. And I appreciate everybody who came up here and shared their point of views. Because Adrian can't hold a full conversation. So yeah. Oh my. Anybody else got any final thoughts? Silly say yes, I the whole, that's why I love StreamYard, because the whole panel just helps us to, you know, communicate point of views, and it let the conversation really lead into a, you know, an eye-opening chat. So yeah. And I do appreciate everybody who came in, stopped in, still here in the building. We got about 6 minutes. All right, let's for the next 6 minutes that we got, can we play a game? Who got a game that we can play? We can play a little game for the few minutes we got. Anybody in here who still haven't hit the thumbs up? We're at 39 thumbs up. Can we get one more to 40? I would appreciate it. So I mean, we had 40 or more people in and out the chat. It's awesome. Thank you all for all your support. I know you could be anywhere else on the internet tonight, and you chose to be here. She said, with half of a nerve left. Oh, Lord. It says 40 on your side, creative. I think mine is just delayed. All right, Jill, you can hit the button whenever you're ready. I don't think I'm going to stay for a whole 5 after 2 hours. So you can hit the button. I'm just going to sit here and wait on you until you hit the button. We're going to go over to Jill's comfort zone. And Kay, don't bother trying to get Jill to stay long tonight. Jill says she's busy. She got stuff to do. So don't be getting don't be trying to keep Jill on here all night. She said, thanks for bringing in heavy topics. Oh my, you know, I always try to, you know, I didn't think it was going to get that heavy. I think, you know, but you know me, I'm always trying to, I'm always trying to, you know, talk about things that affect us on a daily and stuff that we all go through. So, yeah. Food and you heard what they said. That's what friends are. That's what wives are for. You know. She said, "Yes, topics are always heavy. Yeah, they're heavy, but they are very they're very useful." And all right, Kay. The topics are very useful, and I feel like, you know, as we said, we are learning from each other. And we can, with these topics, we can learn to appreciate different people's point of view. We can also learn to appreciate their point of views and all those things, because I feel like sometimes when you just hear a blank statement of A, B, C, and then you don't know what comes next. So it's always good to hear different point of views and kind of, you know, see where the person is coming from. So Jill just hit the live button. Let me grab the link and drop it in the chat. We're going to go over to Jill Comfort Zone. All right, there's the link to take you straight to Jill. I'll see you guys over there. She said, play or talk. Are we going to talk or are we going to play? All right, I think I still see 14 people in the house. I'm going to wait until everyone trickle over to Jill, and then I'll get off the live. We're going over to Jill's Comfort Zone. Jill's Comfort Zone. Needy husbands need to be... No, creative, I'm not a husband, so we're going to have to get a needy husband on the panel. Creative girls that need a husband. Yeah, if you all have a needy husband and you want him, he's willing to come on the panel and tell us why he's needy, let me know. We can bring them on next week. All right, guys, thank you so much for stopping in. I'll see you over at Jill. You all have a good night. Love you all.